Flight 447 was falling toward Denver with 289 passengers aboard. The young pilots were helpless. At that moment, the 73-year-old aircraft mechanic Tom sat in the pilot's seat for the first time in 40 years. No one knew he was Vietnam's miracle pilot. Welcome to the Vietnam Stories. Before we tell this powerful story, let us know in the comments which city you're watching from today, and if you believe stories like this need to be told, hit that subscribe button to help keep these stories alive. Tom Mitchell's hands were covered in oil stains. This 73-year-old man had been doing the same job at Denver International Airport for 25 years, aircraft maintenance. Every morning he'd arrive at 6, put on his coveralls, and walk quietly between the hangars with his tools. The pilots called him Old Tom out of politeness, because Tom never told his stories, never joined conversations, just did his job and went home. That morning was like any other. Tom was inspecting United Airlines Boeing 757. He knew the routine by heart: engine checks, hydraulic systems, electronic inspections. He'd been repeating the same procedures for 25 years. But something was different that morning. In his dreams, he'd seen Vietnam again. In the cockpit of an F-4 Phantom jet, in the sky, under enemy artillery fire. "Tom, are you here?" Young mechanic Jake's voice pulled Tom from his thoughts. Jake was 26, an aeronautical engineering graduate who respected Tom. "Yes, I'm here," Tom said calmly. "Did you finish the engine checks on Flight 447? They're taking off at 9, Jake said. Tom nodded. "Everything's ready. Engine performance is perfect. System checks are clean." Jake laughed. "You know this stuff better than I do, old man. I wish I had your experience." Tom looked at him. There was no way Jake could know what had happened in Vietnam. Tom wouldn't tell him either, because some stories weren't worth telling. 9:30. Flight 447 took off from Denver to Los Angeles. 289 passengers were aboard. Businessmen, families, children, elderly people. Captain Sarah Williams was 34 years old, a skilled pilot with 5 years of experience. Co-pilot Michael Chen was 29, one of United Airlines' youngest pilots. The first 15 minutes went normally. The aircraft climbed to 33,000 feet cruise altitude, autopilot engaged. The passengers had relaxed. Flight attendants had begun service. Tom was checking another aircraft's engine in the hangar at that time. 9:46. "Tower, this is Flight 447. Mayday, mayday, left engine failure, declaring emergency." Alarm bells began ringing in Denver Control Tower. Air traffic controller Linda Martinez grabbed the radio. "Flight 447, state your situation," Linda said. Captain Williams' voice was tense. "Our left engine exploded. We have vibration. We're losing power." "Copy 447, we're giving you vectors for single engine return to Denver," Linda said. But a minute later, the situation got worse. "Tower, tower, right engine has also failed. We've lost both engines. The aircraft is falling," Williams shouted. Linda Martinez's heart stopped. A Boeing with 289 passengers had both engines dead. This was the worst-case scenario. 447 maintain gliding position. We're initiating emergency landing procedures," Linda said. But Captain Williams' voice was close to panic. "Tower, glide ratio is too low. We can't reach the runway. We're losing altitude rapidly." The control tower had turned to chaos. Emergency protocols engaged. Fire and ambulance services went on alert. But everyone knew a Boeing 757 with both engines dead had very little chance of staying airborne. Tom heard the alarm sounds coming from the hangar. He turned on the radio, trying to understand what was happening. When he heard Flight 447's voice, he froze. He had checked that aircraft that morning. The engines were in perfect condition. How could both fail simultaneously? "Tower, altitude 16,000 feet and falling. We're losing control," Williams screamed. The desperation in Sarah Williams' voice squeezed Tom's heart. There was something familiar in that voice. In Vietnam, F-4 Phantom pilots' radio calls would be in the same tone. Desperation, fear, but the will to never give up. Tom took the radio in his hand, but didn't speak. He remembered the day 40 years ago when he had last held control of an aircraft, Vietnam, 1972. F-4 Phantom jet, both engines hit, losing fuel under enemy artillery fire. But he had landed that aircraft even on a grass field. "Tower, this is Tom Mitchell," Tom said. Linda Martinez was surprised. "Tom Mitchell? The old mechanic from the hangar?" "Tom, we have an emergency situation right now. Please clear the radio," Linda said. "Linda, I know Flight 447's situation. Let me help," Tom said. "Tom, you're a mechanic. You can't do pilot work," Linda shouted. Tom took a deep breath. It was time to say words he hadn't told anyone for 40 years. "Linda, I made 147 emergency landings in Vietnam. My call sign was Miracle Tom. Let me help those kids," Tom said calmly. Silence fell in the control tower. Linda Martinez had known Tom Mitchell for 20 years. Quiet, humble, a mechanic who didn't talk much to anyone. But now there was something different in his voice. Authority, experience, faith. "Flight 447, altitude 10,000 feet, tower, what are we going to do?" Williams shouted. Linda Martinez made her decision. "Tom, the frequency is yours," she said. Tom took the radio. For the first time in 40 years, he was speaking as a pilot. "Flight 447, this is Tom Mitchell. Sarah, Mike, can you hear me?" Tom said. "Who is this?" Captain Williams asked. "I'm Tom, the mechanic from the hangar, but I'm also a former combat pilot. I want to help you," Tom said. "Tom, we're professional pilots, thanks, but..." Williams began. "Sarah, what's your altitude?" Tom asked. Williams hesitated. 8,000 feet. "Your airspeed?" Tom asked. 250 knots, Williams said. "Your glide ratio?" Tom asked. 8-to-1, Williams said. Tom calculated quickly. In Vietnam, he had encountered similar situations dozens of times. F-4 Phantom jets were much heavier, their glide performance much worse. But he had still landed those aircraft. "Sarah, listen to me. Don't extend the flaps. Reduce airspeed to 200. Don't lower the landing gear yet," Tom said. "But the procedure," Williams began. "Forget the procedure. I'm teaching you what I learned in Vietnam. You're going to make a dead stick landing," Tom said. Captain Williams realized she had no other choice. "Okay, Tom, I'm listening to you," she said. "Set the trim to nose-up position. Keep the elevator control gentle. Let the aircraft find its own glide path," Tom said. There was panic in the aircraft cabin. Flight attendants were showing passengers emergency positions. Children were crying. Adults were praying. But in the cockpit, Tom's calm voice was giving confidence to the pilots. "Altitude 6,000 feet, Mike Chen said. "Good. Sarah, now adjust your approach angle. The runway is 12 degrees to the left. Make a gentle left turn," Tom said. "Tom, do we have enough altitude to make this turn?" Williams asked. "You do. Trust me. I've gotten out of much worse situations in Vietnam," Tom said. Linda Martinez was monitoring the situation in the control tower. On the radar screen, Flight 447 was slowly descending toward Denver. But her calculations were correct. They could reach the runway. "Altitude 3,000 feet, Williams said. "Tom, I can see the runway." "Perfect. Now extend flaps to half. Reduce airspeed to 180. Lower the landing gear," Tom said. "When I lower the landing gear, there will be extra drag," Williams said. "I know, but we have to make a soft landing on the runway. Gear-up landing is too risky," Tom said. Williams lowered the gear. The aircraft began descending a bit faster. "Altitude 1,500 feet, Williams said. "Sarah, you're entering final approach. The runway is straight ahead. Reduce airspeed to 160. Extend flaps fully," Tom said. "Tom, we're descending too fast," Williams shouted. "Stay calm. Play with the elevator. Keep the nose up. When you enter ground effect, the aircraft will hold itself," Tom said. At Denver Airport, all emergency teams were ready. Fire trucks, ambulances, rescue teams were waiting by the runway. All personnel had come out of the hangars to watch Flight 447. Tom was among them too, radio in hand, eyes on the sky. 500 feet, Williams shouted. Sarah, you're doing great. Now final adjustment. Pull the elevator slightly, Tom said. 300 feet, Williams shouted. Steady, steady, Tom said. 150 feet, Williams shouted. Now nose up. Elevator full back, Tom shouted. 60 feet, Williams shouted. Perfect, Sarah. You're a fighter, Tom shouted. Flight 447 made a perfect dead stick landing on Denver Airport's runway. The landing gear bounced on the runway first, then stabilized. The aircraft slowed to a stop. Applause erupted in the control tower. Linda Martinez wiped her eyes. Tom Mitchell had created another miracle after 40 years. Tower, this is Flight 447. We're on the ground. All passengers are safe. Thanks to Tom Mitchell, Williams said. Tom turned off the radio and put it in his coverall pocket. Jake ran to him. Tom, incredible. How did you do that? Jake shouted. Tom looked at him. The fatigue was no longer in his eyes. For the first time in a long while, he felt complete. Jake, sometimes the past comes back to find you, Tom said, and you have to be ready. That evening, Tom sat at home watching Flight 447 news on television. The reporter was calling it Denver's miracle, but Tom's name wasn't mentioned at all, because he hadn't spoken to the media. His door knocked. When he opened it, he saw Captain Sarah Williams and Mike Chen. Tom, Sarah said, we came to thank you. No need, Tom said. You did your job, I did mine. No, Tom. You saved 289 lives today. We want to know how you did it, Sarah said. Tom let them in. For the first time, he was going to tell someone his Vietnam stories. In 1968, when I was 19, I went to Vietnam as an F-4 Phantom pilot. In my first 6 months, I lost my engines to enemy fire 3 times. On the 3rd time, I understood something. The aircraft is part of you. You can talk to it, Tom said. Sarah and Mike listened carefully. I stayed in Vietnam for 4 years. I made 147 emergency landings. Engine failure, fuel loss, enemy fire. They called me Miracle Tom, Tom said. So why did you become a mechanic? Mike asked. Tom's face darkened. Because in 1972, on my last mission, I lost my wingman, Jerry Collins. He was 22 years old, married, had 2 children. He had an engine failure, but I couldn't help him. He went down. Silence fell. After that day, I never flew again. I remembered Jerry on every flight. I became an aircraft mechanic. Fixing aircraft, keeping them safe. Maybe I could pay my debt to Jerry that way, Tom said. Sarah Williams' eyes filled with tears. Tom, today you took Jerry's revenge. You saved 289 Jerrys, she said. The next day, Tom came to work as always. But now everything was different. Pilots looked at him differently. Hangar personnel greeted him with respect. But what was most important for Tom was the dream he had that night. Jerry Collins was waving at him, smiling and saying, "Good job, Tom." Jake came to him. "Tom, the media wants to interview you," he said. "No," Tom said. "I just did my job." "But you're a hero," Jake said. Tom looked at him. "Jake, real heroes don't boast. They're just there when needed," he said. A week later, Tom received an official envelope. Inside was a letter from the Federal Aviation Administration. Outstanding Service Award. Tom accepted this quietly too. Flight 447 passengers sent thank you letters to Tom. A child sent him a drawing of an airplane, written below, "Thank you, Uncle Tom. You are my hero." Tom hung that drawing next to Jerry Collins's photograph. Months later, Sarah Williams visited Tom again. "Tom, I want to ask you something. Have you ever thought about flying again?" Sarah asked. Tom looked out the window. At Denver Airport, aircraft were taking off and landing. "I think about it every day," Tom said, "but my place is here now, keeping aircraft safe." "What about Jerry?" Have you ever thought about being a pilot for him? Sarah asked. Tom smiled. For the first time in a long while, a real smile. Sarah, I'm already a pilot for him, just in a different way, Tom said. That evening, Tom looked at the sky. Even though he didn't see an F-4 Phantom jet, he could hear the engine sound and Jerry Collins's voice. See you later, Miracle Tom. Tom answered him. See you later, buddy. 73-year-old mechanic Tom Mitchell continued working. He was no longer just a mechanic. He was the guardian of the sky. Knowing he was there at every takeoff, every landing, kept passengers safe. Because some heroes don't wear capes, they wear coveralls. And the greatest miracles are sometimes created by the quietest people. Flight 447's story became a legend in Denver. But Tom Mitchell's story was still being written. Every day, on every aircraft, at every safe landing. Now I ask you, have you ever met someone who worked quietly but emerged when needed like this? Maybe you too encountered a miracle Tom but didn't realize it. Share their stories in the comments. Because at the Vietnam Stories, we believe that the greatest heroism is sometimes hidden in the most ordinary jobs. If this story moved you, subscribe, share, and remember, miracles are real, they just wait for the person to create them. We'll see you in the next story. Until then, if you see an old mechanic at an airport, look at him with respect. Maybe he's the Miracle Tom who could save your life.